You're walking up a shit.
Let's go. Let's go. We got this. We got this. We got this. Don't let up. Don't let up. Don't let up. No! No! No!
Keep going, keep walking.
I can't see shit. I started Unreal the same way anybody else did, not knowing how to code and not knowing how to program. And the appeal of Unreal Engine has always been just that. I didn't know how to program, and this doesn't force you to. Now, there's an asterisk to that. Of course, you have to know how to program. You have to learn functions, how to do booleans, how to do floats, how to do enums. You have to learn all this stuff. But it didn't require C++, it didn't require Python, it didn't require any of these other programming methods which take a long time to learn, allegedly. I haven't tried. My first project ever was just two mannequins talking to each other. I'll see if I have something up here that I can show y'all. But yeah, two mannequins being able to see each other through a Steam subsystem. That was fucking groundbreaking at the time for me. That is how I began with Unreal Engine. The next time I think I hopped into Unreal was after playing Schedule 1. So I don't have a lot of experience. If you think about when Schedule 1 released, realistically, if you were to give myself a time frame, you say how many days, months, time you have, I think 6 months is fair to say, all of which being on and off. And that's my total experience in Unreal. It's not a lot. 6 months of on and off work is probably 3 months condensed. And even that is not a lot for the huge engine and huge possibilities that you have on this. My second game was inspired by Schedule 1. It was essentially a drug dealing game set in a dark fantasy world where you, the character, starts in your house and you go outside, you get to buy, harvest, and sell drugs, essentially. So since it is dark fantasy, I wanted to be able to collect ingredients that are, fantastical or mythical in nature. I wanted to be able to pick up like a dragon's tooth or a phoenix feather or ash or whatnot, an orc's tusk or whatever. But that was essentially the goal that I set out to do. I wanted to make Schedule 1. I wanted Schedule 1, dark fantasy, open world, different biomes, farming, selling, all this stuff. And I wanted to make it together. I wanted to make its own original, unique idea. Hopefully somebody doesn't steal that as I say this, but it is what it is. That is my end goal to create in that game. I launched Unreal Engine. I began gray boxing everything. So gray boxing is essentially laying out the rough estimate, the rough shapes of how you want something to feel, how you want the scene to behave, how you want the player to feel as they're in the city. And then you could add the details later. You just want to know, hey, is this too close? Is this too far? Is this too big? Is the size right? And then you put details into everything. And that's where I fucked up. I went through the gray boxing phase and immediately went into the detailed phase because I wanted to learn Blender. And at the time, this wasn't, oh, I gotta create this thing. It was a passion project, and it still is. It's something that I still wanna finish and do once I have enough skills. So that's essentially what Unreal Engine has been to me. I begin one project, and then I start another to get more information, and then go back to the other project, and then go forward and start another one. I am still learning Unreal Engine, and that's the truth of it. I can't release any of the games I have, even though I think I could release something, and maybe it'll do terrible, and maybe it'll do good. But simple games exist all the time. However, I am focusing to make these little games, as a lot of people say, to get better and make my dream game later. So right now, what I am doing is progressing my knowledge database to make my dream game. That being said, I created that, got more into detail, because another behemoth you got to learn if you want to make games by yourself is Blender. Unfortunately, game development is a huge monumental task, and the reason being is you're one person. You need to know how to program, you need to know how to animate, you need to know how to model, you need to know sound design, you need to know visual effects, all of which can be done in Unreal Engine, minus maybe the modeling. At least for characters, you want to import stuff on modeling programs. It's the easiest way. Some mechanics that I did learn was how to load a world from a hitbox or a box collision. So basically, you know how you walk into a door and then you get teleported to another level or inside a house? That's essentially what I learned. I learned how to play with emissive textures so they can reflect light, or they can emit light rather. I learned that if you don't optimize your lighting, you can crash hardware. I had my brother test. I had a couple people play test the game just because I thought it was cool to share my ideas. And from there, I had him, walk around this town that I'll show you. Maybe I'll put it up on screen. I had him walking around this town, and eventually he put up his settings because he thought, oh, it's running pretty well. And then he got to an area with a lot more light. And I did learn how to make a day-night system in the level. So, with Lumen and an older PC and all this stuff going on in the background, his PC crashed. I crashed his driver and he had to reinstall them. And then, everything was running fine. Obviously, I'm a dumbass for not including settings to begin with and not thinking of that. But I just wanted him to try that and get it out there. The power of play testing is someone's old hardware blew up. Damn, we really should have a settings menu for textures, shaders, and lighting. So that's what I did. And I made a save game so you can apply it. And I learned all those things because somebody's PC blew up. And, unfortunately it did, but that's now how I had this menu. So I created a pause menu. I created a settings menu. I created a start menu that has settings in it. And I created a credits list the same way the box collision for the level thing worked, except it was just a UI in the game. I scrapped the town, made it open world, and made a walking simulator. Wasted my time completely. But hey, it's something that I did and now I know I wasted my time. Then I jumped on another project. It was F-Person. The TLDR of the story, because I created it as I went, was you got isekai'd. If you know about anime, you know what that is. You got isekai'd into this world. You walk through a portal from, I guess, Earth, and then you walk through a portal that leads to a fantasy world, and you go in there, and low poly military contractors are there, and you're looking for your brother because he's been MIA for X amount of time, which nobody knows because there's no story. But you walk in, you go through a portal, which leads to a portal through a house where modern, military contractors are. Once you step out of that area, it loads another level, which is the open world. So I created an NPC which has a dialogue system, which if I can find the name to, it's a free asset on the marketplace. Anything I've used in here that I remember, I will put down in the description for you guys because it is really useful. It is really useful to not start from scratch. Even if you replace the stuff afterwards, it's really nice to see the progression, see everything building up. Even if it's not yours, you see something, you created something, now it's talking, it's having voice lines. It's the reason you get addicted to this type of thing, seeing your creations come to life. And at least that's what happened for me. I left the first project because I was trying to adapt an inventory system. And I created 2 inventory systems after 2 tutorials, neither of which worked. That was like, I want to say a good 4 hours gone. And no matter what I troubleshooted, no matter what I found, no matter what I searched, no matter what I ChatGPT, no matter what I Reddited, nothing would work. So that's what led me to create F-Person. And in F-Person, which is find person, because I'm so original, is where I created all these other mechanics. But it's also where I learned, because of the dialogue system, you have to interact with everything. If I found out how I did it, I'll put it up in the video. Found somebody using their own clamp style for the camera movement. So from the camera spawns a certain value, a forward value, and it clamps it so it can't go past that, and it rotates it so it's not pointing fucking backwards. And that finally solved it. I had a breakthrough, and with that breakthrough, I was able to interact with the dialogue, and I kept that line trace forever. That is something that I'm never gonna go back and redo because I can control pace and put that anywhere and it'll work. Meaning I could go back to the other game and it would work. After I made that progress and I had this little loop, I just stopped making a game until a little bit later, where I came back because I had touched the Sinking City. If you guys don't know, the Sinking City is an underrated, super fucking cult classic though, of Lovecraftian detective shooter mystery type of game. It's really cool. It's an amazing play, but playing it, just like I played Schedule 1, I noticed, how did they get these items in there? And the biggest thing was walking against the pier at the very start of the game, looking down. By the way, this is the remastered version of the game, not the older version. On Unreal Engine 5, this is the new one. You walk past the docks, you talk to your first NPC, and you turn back to look at the ocean, and you see a PNG of trash, and it's just a recycled Infinity PNG. And I found that so hilarious. I'm like, wow, this game is jank. It's really cool, but you can see the illusion falling right in front of you. Like, just full veil, taking it off. And it was cool to see. It wasn't like, oh man, fuck this game, this shit is so ass. No, it was cool as a game developer. And you know, a lot of times people give shit for bigger games not getting their stuff right. But you know, as a solo dev, messing something up and it being catastrophic is humbling in the worst way possible. But yeah, that led me to be like, man, this gaming thing really could be possible if I just stick to it, keep my nose down, keep going. Which is what led me to create this other game, which for now it just has a placeholder name of Paranoia, but it takes place in the F-person files because I have all that saved. I began with the line trace. I began with changing my first-person blueprint to a third-person blueprint by moving the camera, adding a character to it, and then removing the gun. I hated the gun. I didn't like it. I didn't know how to interact with it, so I deleted it completely. And what I managed to do with my own knowledge, which finally felt like a breath of fresh air, is, hold on, I can delete this, add a line trace to my character whenever I left-click, and then it should work, right? So it did. I left-click and it does a line trace. Then I wanted an aim mode, so I watched a tutorial on how to make a dead space over the shoulder, but when you aim in, you slow down type of FOV. And I did that, and it worked fine. But now I don't have an animation for a gun, and I don't have a gun at all. So what I did was create a blend space with a idle animation of holding a gun, merge with the regular animation of walking or being idle, and make the two play one animation. So now when I right click, it plays the animation of ADSing. And then I had to make sure the line trace wasn't possible while I was aiming. So I made an Boolean, which is aiming true. If right click is held, you can shoot. If right click is not held, you can't shoot. And that's how I made that. After that, I made a parent socket to add the gun to, and now I had the gun, you know, being in the character's arm, regardless of the animation. But then I had a huge issue, which I hope you guys never run into, which is where the blend space animation was tilted to the left on the torso. So whenever I would aim, it looked cool, but it would go to the left. Another thing, montages are not good for player states. That's what animation is for. I was trying to get this done with animations. So if I right click, it plays an infinite animation of aiming, idle. And if I walk while I'm aiming, which I did a Boolean for, then I can play the walking idle animation. But the thing with blueprints is that there's no hierarchy and it doesn't recheck every single time you are not pressing the WASD. Maybe there's a way to do it. However, the recommended method is that you make it a blend space animation, you put it into your locomotive, and you put it that way, which I learned. So I added a enemy nav mesh navigation bounds, is essentially just where NPCs can walk around. The NPC will stay idle until the character is nearby, and once it's nearby, it will chase them. Then I created a spawner for them, so it does every 4 seconds, it'll spawn more enemies. After that, I learned how to damage the main character, which is something that I created out of my own head, which is probably simple as fuck, but I was proud that I did it on my own. Outside of that, I began planning a linear story where you're in an asylum and you have to get a key for a warden because one of the inmates locked it down. If you ever played Batman Arkham Asylum, it's kind of inspired by that. Well, you'll talk to somebody, the inmates have taken over, then you have to find a way in. On the way there, you find out that the inmates are seeing this creature that nobody else is seeing, but you can see. You can see them. And those things are called paranoia. These paranoia creatures can only be visible to people who have a lack of sanity. Eventually, I want to add a sanity bar where when you look at certain things or you fight certain things, your sanity drops. Very inspired by the Sinking City, but I want to add all these, you know, things that I grew up with together, and I want to make something new, something cool, something that I'm proud of doing, and that would be the dream game. So as I'm doing now, my next steps are making this playable loop that I created with the shooter mechanics, adding doors so they can open, adding quests, objectives, adding NPCs to talk to, adding better dialogue options, and setting up a first mission. That is essentially my mission right now, setting up a first quest, setting up a mission. And that has brought you up to date with what I have so far. It's been a hell of a ride. It's been very fun to do. There's been headaches, but it has taken over my life. It has consumed my life. And for those of you who have stuck around to the very end, I'm going to create a Patreon. So whenever I create something or whenever I, upload something or finish something, you guys can get it first. So if you guys want to check out my Patreon, support me. I'll upload stuff of me maybe crashing out to some of the stuff I'm making. If you want to support this endeavor, or if you just want to, support a dude making a game, that's the place to do it. For anybody else aspiring to make their dream game, just start. Just start. It doesn't cost anything. Unreal is free. All you need is an internet connection and a decent PC. Outside of that, dude, the world is your oyster. You can make anything you want. The only thing that's stopping you is yourself, honestly. If I were to do it all over again and give myself advice on how to do it more efficiently, I would just plan. It's crazy to think how many or how underrated this is for anybody just doing anything ever. But planning, it's the best thing. It's the thing that's kept me going. It's the thing that has kept the motivation going, kept me coming back on to do stuff. Even right now, I have a notebook's worth of stuff that I want to get done and I want to plan out and proceed to do. That is the best thing, setting up goals for yourself and doing them. Before you do, think, what do you want your game to be? What do you want your mechanics to be? And don't say it in a way where it's described as programming. I tend to do this a lot where I say, I want this door to open. Door open equals has item, destroy actor. You don't need to do all that. If you have no knowledge of how to do this just yet, then don't. Just write down, I want to go up to this door and open it. That's it. I press E to interact. Everything else, you'll do the research after. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you on Devlog 2. Peace. God damn.